Hello YouTube friends, my name's Jackie. Welcome to Gone Potty Gardening. In today's video, I've been wanting to plant my dwarf peas. Now, I do grow tall peas as well, but I want to give these a go. These are an early main crop that produce masses of well-filled pods, and they're called Kelvedon Wonder. Now, there's quite a few peas in this packet, so I'll be able to do sort of like perhaps the sowing now and the sowing probably halfway through next month, which will be, well, we're in nearly May, so probably in June sometime I'll be able to do a second sowing. But I'm thinking to myself, what sort of climbing support can I do for them? And you know, I thought to myself, I'm going to make one myself actually. So what I've got here is some 2x1 wood, which I'm going to cut in half because you can't seem to buy any much narrow sized wood around here. So I'm going to cut the 2x1 in half to make it narrower, and I'm going to make a frame for the peas. Now this is the 2x1, and what I've been doing is just you know, measuring and marking out all the way along 1 inch really, so that I can draw a big line all the way down there and cut it off into the lengths that I need. I've always enjoyed sort of creating things using my own imagination really. It's not always straight, sometimes it's wonky, but it works. I'm not a professional by any means, but that's the sort of thing that I do enjoy. I enjoy, you know, trying to create things for the garden or for anything really, and as simply as can be, that doesn't cost a lot really. But actually I've just had a thought, the edges of the wood as well, I'm going to use the angle grinder with the wood sanding attachment and sand off the edges to round it to make it look quite nice. And also I want to paint it, but obviously I'll paint it before, I'll paint it after I sanded it. But first of all now I'm going to get this wood cut, because the idea is in the raised beds I've got outside, I need to measure exactly the length of those raised beds, and I want to make a couple of frames really. And then the idea of it will be to screw each end of this frame to the ends of the raised beds, and it will be a permanent feature, you know, that I can always grow the peas there, just add good nutrients to that area. So I'm quite excited to get this little project done. I think first off I ought to get the wood cut, get it sanded, get it put together, and then I'll probably pop out and get a little paint to paint it, an outdoor paint. I think it'll look lovely, yeah. So let's get the wood cut first. So what I did was I popped outside and measured the length of one of the raised beds and half of the width, because I want this structure for the peas to be like, use up half a bed really, and on the other side I'll probably plant dwarf kale. So yeah, so I had some 2x1 wood which I've sawn in half and ended up with basically 1x1, and I've sanded them all down. Now like I say, they're not perfect, they're a bit wobbly, they're not in a straight line, but I'm not bothered. To me it's more rustic. Now I've also just popped down to get some paint, because I want it to be a nice little project, and I've gone for the Cuprinal Wild Sage, so that should look really nice, I reckon. Yeah, so what I think I'll do is I'll put the frame together in the polytunnel and then paint it before I screw it to the raised bed, and then there'll be another part to it. But yeah, so the wood I've been sawing in half, sawn a 2x1 in half, so it's a 1x1 basically. Sanded it all so it's a little bit, taken all the rough edges. I don't want to like catch my arms when I'm getting any pea harvest or anything. Plus it'll make it easier when I go to paint it. Yeah, and I didn't think that actually a pea frame needed such a heavy duty a wooden frame like that. So yeah, I'm quite I've got one more piece to do in sand, and then I'll probably screw it together, but I better take it outside first to make sure that it fits. So I've managed to do that bit of a frame. Like I say, I sanded all the wood, cut it in half, and it's not perfect. I had to use the drill to do the holes first, but yeah, it's nice and firm. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to paint it with that paint, you know, that I showed you. And then after that, I'm going to put some jute. I'm going to put a few tiny screws all the way along the back of it and thread some jute up and down. And that'll be a lovely frame. I actually love when you make something yourself. It's kind of like a sense of achievement. And like I say, it's not perfect, but you know, it's going to be useful. You made it and it's going to be useful. So why don't you give it a go? Just, you know, the wood's not dear at all. I mean, you could probably make that for less than £5. And yeah, so that's the first one, but I'll probably make another one. But what I'm going to do now, like I say, is I'm going to paint it, and then we'll do the jute after, and then we'll plant the peas. Like I say, I love this colour. Wild sage. So yeah, I'm just going to probably enjoy myself and get painting. Probably give it a couple of coats, you know. I've got one little split in the wood somewhere, but I'm not too bothered about that. Yeah, what a lovely colour. All these sort of colours blend in with the garden and the foliage on the leaves, don't they? It's lovely. Probably won't take long to paint this. Yeah. These garden paints, as you all probably know, come in all different colours. And I could only get it in a sort of a biggish tin, so I'm sure it'll come in on a different project somewhere. Well, in fact, I'm going to make another one of these, not today, but you know, I will do in the future. And I know I've got some of those dwarf runner beans, haven't I? I've got some in the polytunnel, but I've also got some for out here. Yeah, that looks wonderful already. So I've painted all the frame now, all done. And what I'm doing now is I've measured 2 inches gaps all the way along the long bits, and I'm going to put screws along there to hang the jute. So I've marked it all out already, and these are really tiny screws. I think they're the smallest you can get, and I'm just leaving enough gap to get the twine around the back of it. And in the winter, if I want, I can undo it from the sides there and put it away, save it weathering too much. And I've been and got the wood to make another one of these, so I know we've got a few rainy days, so I'll be able to do that in the polytunnel. I've actually measured the top one and the bottom 2-inch gaps, because the planting is 2 inches, so it'll work out all right actually. So these are really, really tiny, only enough to hold, like I say, that jute stuff, that string. And because this is because all my beds, most of them are the same size, I could always take this off if I wanted and put it on another one, you know. But I think I will take it in the winter. Stop it, you know, wearing so much. It's only a matter of about 8 screws. Seems a palaver this, but it's not. It'd be worth it in the end. What I've done now is I've gone along and put all these tiny screws in, because I'm going to put the the string down. Not sure I'm going to do it yet, but let's have a look. Obviously I'll have to tie it to the top one, so let's crack on and do that first. Now it's getting windy, it's cold as well. When you think for the 1st of May, ridiculous. Right, so let's cut that little bit off. That me pocket. Let's see how we go then. So down, across, up, down, across. This is a nice bit actually. Oh, that don't look right. I must have missed a screw. Yeah, I did. This was only a couple of quid, this string, so that's not bad. Oh, something's gone wrong there. That's it. I've missed one. What am I like? That's it. So I'll carry on with it and I'll be back with you when I've finished. And then I've got some nice rotten down compost in one of those spinning bins. You know, it's been there since last year. So what I'm going to do is put some in here. For the peas. Like this. The wind's picking up. I think that means the rain's on its way. think I've missed the screw off of there. Let's put one in there. Benny, shush. Tie it at the end, cut the double knots, cut that straggly bit off. And there we are. This is one of the spinning compost bins, and I've just got some compost out of there. Look, there's a couple of bits, like there's a little bit of eggshell, a little bit of something there, but I'm just picking the bits out that I don't want in there. But there's worms and all sorts in there, so that's what I'm going to use to grow the peas in. Yeah, there's a little worm. Lovely worms in there. Like I say, we're due this rain, so hopefully it'll get a good soaking. See, there's a potato there. Obviously it didn't break down. But there's some gorgeous worms in here. Oh dear. I'm going to get another couple of buckets worth. So now that I've put that lovely soil in, I'm really pleased with that. I know there's a bit of potato peel and the odd, you know, tiny potato in there, but I just sorted that out. So now I'm going to sow the peas. I don't know if you can see in there, you probably can't if I tip them up. Oh yeah, there they are. Mr. Fothergill's Kelvedon Wonder, narrow well-filled pods, so May to June, long season it says, so early variety. So I'm going to get these planted because we've got this rain coming and it'd be good to get it done, another job out the way. You know, I've put those screws in there. They're 2 inches apart, which is what you've got to sow your seeds at. So I'm just going to follow the screw line and plant on both sides, and probably a couple in the middle. So this is the exciting part now, the easiest bit actually. And look forward to some lovely peas. I quite like the idea of doing these dwarf peas because it's easier, isn't it, when you're getting on. Lower down. Permanent structure, you haven't got to do it every year. Might have to do the string, but that's it. I have got actually some tall ones to plant, and I'll probably just use them up this year, but I'll probably just do dwarf stuff every year because of the simplicity of it. And you get such a nice crop as well, that why wouldn't you really? Saves me building all them great big frames every year. At least I've got one that's already going to be here. I'll probably stick a few in the middle bit there. It says 2 inches apart and 6 inches between rows. So we're alright, we've got plenty of room here. Hopefully the frost doesn't come before they come up, but if it does I'll have to lay a piece of fleece along the middle, you know. My fingers are going to be filthy, but that's gardening. There's a joy in there though about planting your own seed, and the amazing thing that it comes to some lovely vegetables that we can eat. Now, I've never grown these dwarf ones before, but I saw them in the shop and I really fancied giving them a good go, so yeah. Let me know in the comments if you're growing peas and what variety. I know Joyce gave me some alderman peas, I've got them to plant. I probably planted 2 there, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, all the frames complete, all the peas are planted, and I just got to water them, and that's it. There you go. Why not come and join me on Facebook or Instagram? The link is in the description.